Welcome to my YouTube channel. They start before dawn, moving through fog and silence, engines growling like distant thunder. These aren't just trucks. These are the backbone of extreme transport, oversized loads with precision challenges that test physics, patience, and pure grit. The operation begins long before the engine even turns over. Planning, permits, escort coordination, and route scouting all precede the ignition switch. With loads stretching across multiple lanes and weighing hundreds of tons, there's no margin for error. On the edge of the Nevada desert, a modular hydraulic platform trailer carries a 210-ton turbine housing. Each axle assembly is controlled independently, managed by a team of specialists. The driver doesn't sit behind a traditional wheel. He holds a remote control device strapped to his chest. He walks beside the load, adjusting tilt, height, and steering as the trailer inches down a two-lane highway. It's slow, deliberate, and utterly mesmerizing. These trucks may move at only 5 miles per hour, but every foot is an orchestration of calculations and coordination. Across the plains of Oklahoma, another crew prepares to move a 130-foot-long wind turbine blade. Even empty, it's a challenge. But today, it's fully assembled and loaded onto a dual-lane steerable trailer. 2 escort vehicles take lead and rear, alerting oncoming traffic. A utility team drives ahead, lifting power lines with long fiberglass poles. On narrow country roads, the driver must sometimes swing wide into opposing lanes or even detour through fields just to make a single turn. The real skill lies not just in operating these mechanical giants, but in anticipating what's ahead. A bridge rated at 20 tons can't take a 300-ton load. So they use jump bridges, temporary steel platforms to distribute weight evenly. It takes hours to position, align, and reinforce. One by one, the truck's axles crawl across the structure. The sound is deep, metallic, like an echo from the Earth's core. Any deviation, any misalignment, and the result could be catastrophic. In the Rockies, drivers face hairpin turns with less than a foot of clearance. Spotters climb hillsides with radios, directing each wheel's path. When the trailer swings wide, its rear axles pivot in real time, mimicking the driver's steering input like a synchronized ballet. One false move means plunging hundreds of feet. Yet, they continue, hour after hour, adapting on the fly. In Texas, refinery columns over 200 feet long are moved through towns with streetlights removed, curbs flattened, and temporary roadways laid. These trucks aren't just hauling cargo, they're reshaping the environment. Police block intersections, and crews lay steel plates over weak manholes. For each operation, hundreds of people coordinate. The driver feels the pressure of every radio transmission, every waiting resident, every watching eye. Some loads require pusher trucks, giant tractor units attached to the rear to help brake or climb. Communication between front and rear is constant. They use CB radios, hand signals, sometimes even pre-arranged honks to avoid delay. 1 horn blast for, ease up, 2 for, more power, 3 for, emergency stop. And they listen. Because if even one driver misses a cue, the load could jackknife or tip. Every route must be surveyed in advance. Measurements are taken from curb to curb, tree to tree. Turns are plotted digitally, tested with scale models or software simulations. Sometimes the only solution is to reverse uphill or spin the truck in an open field to reorient. That's why some routes are only taken at night, less traffic, more time, cooler conditions to ease strain on engines and hydraulics. When moving transformers or generators to remote facilities, crews often build temporary roads. Bulldozers flatten terrain. Gravel is trucked in by the ton. In muddy zones, they lay timber mats for traction. Everything is designed to prevent sinking. One misjudged patch can bog down the entire convoy. Then, recovery teams arrive, winches, cranes, even helicopters if needed. But that's always the last resort. Avoidance is the name of the game. In the Midwest, winter adds ice and black frost into the mix. Chains are fitted, but oversized loads can't always wait for perfect conditions. That's when they slow even further, sometimes moving just 1 mile in an entire hour. Crew members walk beside the truck, placing sand or salt in real time. It's physically demanding. Every member wears thermal gear, visibility vests, steel-toe boots, and radios. They're a mobile army of logistics. On coastal routes, wind is the enemy. Even a moderate gust can push a tall load dangerously off-center. Loads like prefab housing modules or aircraft fuselages are highly susceptible. Drivers monitor real-time weather data. If wind speeds exceed the threshold, usually 30 miles per hour, they stop. No questions, no debates, because experience has taught them the price of arrogance. Some operations require coordination with air traffic control, especially when passing under flight paths or near radar stations. The metal mass can interfere with signals. So timing is everything. These are not ordinary truck drivers. They're trained in emergency recovery, mechanical troubleshooting, and often hold Class A CDL licenses with multiple endorsements. They work with engineers, law enforcement, and city officials daily. They're road warriors, and their battlefield is America's infrastructure. In places like Florida, where swampy terrain makes traditional movement impossible, they use self-propelled modular transporters. These robotic platforms move at walking speed, guided by joysticks and GPS. The driver isn't in a cab but watches from a distance. Each wheel turns independently. The result is uncanny, like watching a spaceship hover across a construction site. And yet, it's hauling thousands of pounds of concrete and steel. Urban areas pose their own challenge. In cities like Chicago or Los Angeles, oversized loads must navigate narrow lanes, parked cars, impatient commuters. Sometimes they move at 2 a.m. Police cruisers block entire streets. Crews manually swing traffic lights aside. It's a surgical operation performed on a living organism. And everyone has a role. Fatigue is real. A single trip can last 12, 24, even 36 hours without rest. Drivers rotate. Spotters take shifts. Meals are eaten on the go, protein bars, thermos coffee, electrolyte packs. They sleep in cabs, on-site trailers, or not at all. But there's pride in the struggle. They know what they do is essential. These loads include military hardware, energy components, even aerospace equipment. The future depends on their safe delivery. Every time a fighter jet takes off or a power plant comes online, somewhere there was a trucker who delivered the heart of that machine, 1 mile an hour, over impossible terrain, through night, snow, and heat. There's danger. Loads tip. Accidents happen, but the risk is calculated. These teams prepare for everything: floods, detours, even civil protests. Redundant systems keep everything in check. Hydraulic brakes with backup air lines, dual engine setups in case of failure, and constant communication among all teams. Insurance runs into the millions. A single mistake can cost a city weeks of disruption. That's why training is rigorous. Simulators mimic worst-case scenarios. New drivers start with lighter loads and move up slowly. Veterans have war stories: narrow bridges in West Virginia, landslides in Oregon, traffic jams in Phoenix. But they keep going, because if they stop, so does progress. At the end of each trip, there's no fanfare. No cheering crowd, just a final report, signatures, a handshake. The load is unstrapped, offloaded by crane, and the truck moves on. Sometimes empty, sometimes onto the next challenge. They sleep where they can, fuel up again, and keep rolling. These are the unsung masters of motion. The engineers of the impossible. No 2 days are the same. One route could take a day. Another could take a week. But every mile is earned. Every turn is conquered. And every load that makes it safely to its destination is a triumph of human skill, teamwork, and machines pushed to their limit. You might never notice them on the highway. You might pass them and wonder why they're moving so slow. But they're carrying the future, one dangerous, oversized, and perfectly balanced mile at a time.